References. What's the point of a reference to get that job? Employers are looking at your CV and they're looking at data points of credibility. They're understanding what employers you've been employed with. Are they brands that they recognise? Are they brands that when they look them up, they know that they're credible organisations, companies and not-for-profits? They're looking into the education. Where did you study? Did that have a good reputation? Is it known for the area that you're currently working in? What type of tasks within your employment have you undertaken, and is it related to the role and the level of tasks that you are undertaking, those activities and capabilities you've built up? How credible are you in relation to those mapped to the role you're applying for? And then when it comes down to your referees or your references, these are a key point of credibility. Many people think that they should leave them out, particularly if they're in a situation where they're currently employed and they're not wanting to red flag to their employer that they're actually looking for other roles. The danger of not putting in those references is that you're missing that opportunity to demonstrate the credibility of those references. So you've got a couple of options. Here's how it plays out. Option one is that you put all the details down. There's no issue with your current employer, or you're willing to risk it. It's their name, position, organisation, email and mobile phone number. The second option is where you play halfway house. This is actually my favorite option because you're giving a little away to indicate there is a very credible reference here, but you're not going to give them the full story. You're actually going to hold this information. Now, the benefit of holding the information is that you're the gatekeeper, that when they need to check your references, they have to come back to you. And in fact, you get to understand where you're sitting in the process, whether you're going to progress that interview. If they're checking your references, which probably 98% of organisations will do that at the final stages, there is a certain amount of organisations that will check references, all 3 or 4 of them, prior to you getting even to interview, because there might be some tight timescales on that turnaround. In the halfway house references model, I like to put just their name, position and organisation, no other detail. So all they know is that that person is supervising you, and that's where the credibility is. They're really looking for someone to verify where you've worked, how long you've worked there, what do you like as a person, how do you lead, manage, or what do you like as an employee, what kind of a team player you are. The employer, from their perspective, is looking at them for credibility and also for verification to make sure that what you say on your CV is actually who you are in the workplace. Now, the third option is actually providing no detail at all and providing that little keywords at the end that say references available on request or referees available on request. This provides no information for the employer, and combined with potentially other red flags in the level of credibility you have towards the role that you're applying for, it actually can mean you're shortlisted out quite early in that process because you're not having that credible verification of references available for the employer or recruiter to see. So if you are at this stage of your CV, getting it to that final stage of applying for jobs, getting out there, networking, maybe it's time for you to update your LinkedIn. Don't forget to check out our video to make sure your LinkedIn profile is competing with the best. One last tip is make sure you let the employer know that you've put them down as a reference. It's really tricky sometimes when you get a call out of the blue from someone who you can't quite remember and they're asking you to be a reference. A referee is someone who has worked with you and can support your application and knows what you're like. You can brief them first. Keep communicating with them in the process. Let them know the job that you've applied for, let them know the criteria, and let them know the things or key messages you would like to pass on. These are busy people and make their life easier. It may have been potentially 2 to 5 years since you've worked with that person, but You've changed, you've grown your capabilities. How can they reflect that in the conversation they'll have with a potential recruiter or employer? So I hope you now know the point of referees and references on your resume. So there's your 3 options for references. 1, you can put everything down. 2, go halfway house and just put name, position and organisation. And 3, don't put anything at all. Know which option suits you and the risk that you're taking in taking that option. So let me know which of the 3 reference strategies you prefer to use when you're applying for jobs. Please like or subscribe to Career Jam, and we'd love you to join in the conversations.